Okay, Abby Kiefer. Abby is the CEO and co-founder of Red Clay, and I think Red Clay is quite agile.
Yeah. Here to be a fabulous little poster child for Pivotal. So all of you who had questions about Pivotal, feel free to be in touch with me. We can talk more about Pivotal than we can about Red Clay, and I wouldn't be offended because they've fundamentally changed my company. So happy to be that for them. So how's everybody doing? Is anybody drunk yet? No? Okay, all right. Well, thanks for sticking around. Excited to tell you a little bit about the story of what we're up to. We are definitely a Pivotal founded company, or we founded just before we went to Pivotal, but Pivotal and their agile and their feedback loops are really important to us. So part of why I'm here tonight is I was told that y'all are some of the smartest people in the Valley, and I would love some feedback, so feel free to beat up on what we're about. But founded Red Clay about over 3 years ago now. We had the fundamental idea that we wanted to build a brand of products that were really all about collaboration, bringing the folks who design the products together with the folks who are going to buy the products, let them have a conversation. Knew that in order for that not to be a cluster, we would have to have some sort of technology underlying that conversation, and so we built a technology tool in addition to building those products. Learned the first rule of building a startup: don't do too many things at once. And so we realized once we took that to the market that technology tool was actually a pretty badass idea that no one had done before. And so we've got approached by some of the leaders in the industry we were in to say, hey, can I start using that tool? And the tool then became Red Clay, and it's kind of what you see today. And so at its shortest, what Red Clay has essentially turned into is a place for premium but affordable and very easily tangible industrial design services. So those of you in product design, when I say product design, I mean stuff like this, or this microphone, or your phone, not product design like this website. So we are essentially on-demand industrial design. So your friends in hardware who are designing the next Bluetooth-enabled thermostat, or the next wearable device for your dog, we've helped folks like that. We've also helped folks develop analog things like furniture for some of the largest retailers in the world, or packaging for folks like our friends at Back to the Roots. So that's essentially what we do. Most importantly, let me get into kind of how it all works. This is our standard project page. Our whole goal over here is to take you from idea to manufacture-ready drawings in approximately 6 weeks, and do it for a fraction of the cost that some of the agencies would do it, but really give you access to some of the best talent in the world. So it's a relatively simple experience, able to point and click and tell us a little bit about what you're looking to design, some basic product settings. We really help you out. Again, the goal is the pricing is set by you. We have a set fee, that kind of a baseline, because our designers are of a certain standard. But you get to decide how many you want to work with and how much you want that final rights to be. And then really meat and potatoes of a classic design brief. What are you trying to design? Who are you trying to design it for? What are some of the manufacturing constraints? And we prompt you through answering some of those basic questions. Then really the goal is to get you to a solid team, a solid community of designers to work specifically on your need. We have about 500 on the platform. We vet all of them that come in. We only do work in a couple of different categories, so that those really are the best and the brightest within those couple of categories. They're able to view a little bit of your brief, again, what you're willing to share. We don't want all of your IP going out into the world without it being vetted. So share a little bit of that for them to be a teaser and throw their hat into the ring. You're able to review their portfolios and say, yeah, this person feels like a fit, or no, it doesn't. You can definitely click into each portfolio and get a little bit deeper dive into who they are, past projects that they've worked on. And then you spend the majority of that 6 weeks or so really designing and iterating. I mean, for those of you who do agile development, it's no different in the product space, in the physical product space. Designers throw out a couple concepts. You're able to review them, provide some feedback. We have a pretty fun way to make sure that all happens nice and easily in one central spot, so you're not getting lost in your inbox and sending over attachments that don't make sense. You can provide feedback directly on the images themselves. So instead of getting on a phone call and a Skype call and saying, hey, do you know that corner over here? Instead, you can literally just drag and annotate it and say, this is what needs to get changed. And then ultimately, again, you go through that process back and forth. Our goal is we've done this a couple hundred times. We've figured out how many times you're going to need to go back and forth and different types of questions that are going to arise. And ultimately, is to land at a place where you have final technical files that you can go off and actually start prototyping, 3D printing, small run manufacturing, or go all the way through to the big guys and really start blowing it out in a much more robust kind of way. Right now, the platform actually ends with it's essentially a glorified FTP site. It's a place for you to not only transfer files, but transfer IP rights. We have legalese built into all of this. But we've also built a pretty awesome community of manufacturers, 3D printers, folks like that who are going to help you go along that next way. And one of our next feature sets is definitely building that transfer out so that it doesn't just end here, but it really continues down that process and makes it possible and much faster for you to get your product out to market. Did that really just end at the right time, or did I totally run over? Miles, were you drinking beer without me back there? Come on, dude.
I had to grab a quick one, Abby. There's one waiting for you. If you want. Hands up. I'll go back and I'll work my way this way. Joju.
Hi, if I'm new to this industrial design and I need a product build, and suppose it requires professionals with different skill sets, 3 of them, and I don't know what their skill set should be and all that. I just know this product needs to be built. How does your platform help in identifying the skill set and who should be doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple of things. One, we only, we're relatively small. We're doing, a couple dozen projects a month. It's not like we're going gangbusters yet. And one of the ways that we would make sure of that is that you're putting up a project that our designers could actually do. So if you come to us and say, hey, I want to design a fashion item, like maybe I want to design a handbag, we're going to go, we can't do that. We don't have handbag designers. But if you're going to come to us and say, hey, I have a connected device, do you have an industrial designer? Do you have somebody who has engineering background? And do you have somebody who's knowledgeable about packaging? Yes, like now we can actually start talking about the interdisciplinary team that you're going to need for that, because that's within our core skill set. And then on the platform itself, we offer, for a little bit higher price, the ability to get a white glove service where we can actually help curate your team and make sure that that interdisciplinarity is actually happening. And is working all the way through your project, and not just individuals working on your project, but a collaborative team. It's a great question.
Can you share one of your best user stories, and what do you see in terms of what's the most common product people ask you to help with on demand?
Yeah, so one of our absolute favorites, and it's a case study on our website because we actually absolutely adore her, is an engineer. She's out of Austin, Texas. She was at Texas Instruments for her whole career. A brilliant, brilliant scientist, and her mother happened to take a stumble, and she did the kind of classic, like, oh, if only I had the pick up the Call Me app or I Fell app kind of thing. She's like, my mother's 80 years old, and she's not an idiot. She could have a smarter device that could actually make her live longer if it had AI built into it, if it had Bluetooth built into it, if it had hey, you took a wrong turn to the doctor's office, do you want us to direct you back? And so she, as a scientist, was able to say, I could build this, but I've never built a physical product on my own before. Where do I even get started? And so we were able to work with her from the get-go on a design for her product, plugged her in, $6,000. 6 weeks later, she was off to the races. Not only did she go out and raise a multi-million-dollar Series A, but then she had a successful Kickstarter project and now has users using the product. So it's kind of those that are some of our favorites. We work with some of the big guys, and those are fun too, but the real innovation and some of these new places where ideas are coming from are really our kind of sweet spot and our favorites.
Any other questions for Abby? Are you hiring?
Every tech startup's always hiring, right?
True. Good answer.
Yeah. We are hiring-ish. We always have a couple of positions that, if the right person comes along. We're a relatively small team. We're about 7. And protecting culture is really important to us. So we've learned the hard way not to hire when we don't absolutely have to. So there's a couple positions open. So if you're interested, come on over.
Right on.
We sit in Pivotal Labs, and we totally take advantage of how awesome they are. So come on over and say hi.
Right on. Red Clay. Abby, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want a beer? I'll get one.